Chapter 9. The forensic student cried from fear. Senior. Why do I keep feeling like those paper dolls are staring at us? Hishan clung tightly to the doorframe, refusing to step inside no matter what. I'm serious. There's definitely something wrong with those paper dolls. Could they be real people in disguise? Damn it. I swear the second we get close, they're going to jump up. Every one of those paper dolls had been made up by Tran using the mortuary makeup skill. Because of that, they gave off an indescribably strange feeling. They were clearly objects, yet somehow carried a faint trace of life. Chao Rushua shot Hishan an irritated glare, clearly wanting to scold him. Fear was contagious. At first, she hadn't been scared at all, but after listening to his rambling, even she began to feel uneasy. Can you stop talking for a minute? If you keep babbling, I'm leaving you here. After saying that, she stepped into the room and carefully surveyed the surroundings. The windows on the walls of the main chamber were merely decorations. They couldn't actually be opened. Senior, let's get out of here already. This room feels cursed, and it's sealed on all sides. The exit definitely isn't here. The owner of this haunted house clearly understands psychological suggestion and knows how people think, Chao Rushua said calmly. That means we need to do the opposite. The places that seem least likely are exactly the places we should investigate most carefully. She began pacing around the room while gusts of wind swayed the paper dolls back and forth. By now, Hishan's face had gone pale with terror. He only dared stand outside the doorway. But there's nowhere to hide anything in here. Where could the exit possibly be? Nowhere to hide? Chao Rushua stood in the center of the room and planted one slender leg firmly against the coffin. Who told you that? She stomped on the coffin lid. What are you standing there for? Come help me. I'm opening this coffin. Opening the coffin? Hishan's lips trembled violently. A cold shiver crawled across his entire body. Senior. Maybe that's not such a good idea. Do you plan on spending the rest of your life trapped in this haunted house? Under Chao Rushua's threat, Hishan reluctantly shuffled into the room. Avoiding the paper dolls as carefully as possible, he bent down and grabbed the other end of the coffin lid. I'll count to 3. Then we push together. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Bang! Before she could finish counting, a strange noise suddenly echoed through the room. What was that? Hishan clung to the coffin, trembling violently. Shoo! Chao Rushua raised a finger to silence him. She listened carefully, scanning the room before finally pointing at the coffin. I think it came from inside. The instant she said those words, the color drained completely from Hishan's face. His throat went dry. His breathing quickened. The coffin lid beneath his hands suddenly felt like burning steel. Senior, you're basically my real sister at this point. Please, let's just run. Hishan, calm down. Think about it carefully. The moment we tried opening the coffin, something inside made a sound. Don't you think that's suspicious? What's suspicious about it? It obviously wants to kill us. Under the influence of Black Friday, the fear hidden deep inside Hishan's heart had been magnified 1,000-fold. Right now, all he wanted was to get as far away from this place as possible. Think it through. If there's a sound coming from inside the coffin, then only 2 possibilities exist. Chao Rushue tapped the coffin lid. First, there's an employee hiding inside, waiting to jump out and scare us once we open it. Second, there's some sort of mechanism inside. Once the lid touches a trigger, it activates the next part of the attraction. So no matter how you look at it, this coffin is the key prop in the ghost marriage scenario. If we want to leave, we have to open it. Stop hesitating. Keep pushing. I don't really understand everything you're saying, Senior, but it somehow sounds reasonable. Together, He-Shan and Chao Rushue pushed against the thick, heavy coffin lid. They had only managed to move it a quarter of the way, when suddenly, boom! A deafening blast erupted from inside the coffin. The coffin shook violently and toppled sideways. At the same instant, the doors of the room slammed shut. Countless paper effigies and sheets of joss paper burst out from inside the coffin, scattering everywhere. Gold-colored funeral money fluttered wildly through the air as the eerie laughter of an unknown woman echoed through the room. The entire scene was horrifying beyond words. Run! He-Shan had been standing closest to the door. Terrified out of his mind, he completely forgot he'd come here with his senior. He dashed toward the exit in just a few strides, but before he could even poke his head outside, a woman's face suddenly appeared beyond the doorway. Pale, delicate, beautiful to the point of being almost unreal. Oh my God! Acting on instinct, He-Shan threw a punch at the face. But the owner of that face seemed to have anticipated his reaction long ago, dodging with practiced ease, as though she'd rehearsed this exact situation countless times before. A ghost! Seeing his punch miss, He-Shan panicked and bolted blindly into another room. He-Shan, don't run around! Chao Rushue shouted after him, just in time to see a red figure follow him into one of the side chambers. This is bad. Her expression changed instantly. The side rooms next to the main hall were traditionally where younger family members lived. The room he entered is where the evil spirit stayed while it was alive. She hurried toward the door, only to discover it had been locked shut. She was trapped inside the main chamber. They're separating us one by one to make us easier to break mentally? This is just a haunted house attraction. Do they really need to go this insane? The coffin suddenly cracked open. Paper dolls collapsed across the floor. Surrounded on all sides, Chao Rushue's composure finally began to crack. She kicked the door repeatedly with all her strength. More than a minute later, the door finally creaked open. Yet within that single minute, the outside world seemed to have changed completely. He-Shan. Chao Rushue called out loudly several times, but no one answered. Inside the haunted house, apart from the bizarre background music, only the rustling sound of funeral paper skittering across the ground remained. What do I do now? This haunted house isn't even that large. There's no way He-Shan couldn't hear me. Unless something happened to him, countless images of crime scenes suddenly surfaced in her mind. Even Chao Rushue herself didn't understand why those memories had appeared so abruptly. Following the vague memories of the layout, she moved cautiously down the corridor toward the western room. I think He-Shan ran this way. Creak. She slowly pushed open the decaying wooden door. A white paper double happiness character pasted to the door drifted silently to the floor. Chao Rushue stepped into the center of the room. The room was decorated like a bridal chamber, but every decoration was white. Instead of joy, it inspired only fear. Where could he have gone? The atmosphere inside the room was bizarre. There was only one source of light, the dim glow from a lantern hanging outside the doorway. Chao Rushue moved forward carefully, one step at a time. Cold drafts brushed against her back. Her whole body shivered involuntarily, as though invisible hands were lightly grazing her skin. Joss paper crinkled beneath her feet, and every so often, the tops of her shoes brushed against strange objects hidden in the darkness. The room was too dim to see clearly. All she could do was grit her teeth and keep moving. Lifting the curtain inside the room, Chao Rushue stopped at the doorway. No one was there. Aside from an old bed draped with faded curtains, the only furnishings were two ancient bronze mirrors placed against opposite peeling walls, facing one another. I clearly saw He-shan run into this room. How could he disappear in only 2 minutes? A thought suddenly flashed through her mind. Could the exit be hidden here? Did He-shan already escape? Taking a deep breath, she stepped farther inside. And with every step she took, another set of footsteps echoed through the room alongside hers. Who's behind me? She spun around abruptly, but all she saw was a bronze mirror. Inside the mirror, reflected back at her.
Please like and subscribe to support the next part of the story. Thank you.